All right. Welcome, DoorGrow hackers, to the DoorGrow show. If you are a property management entrepreneur that wants to add doors, make a difference, increase revenue, help others, impact lives, and you are interested in growing your business and life, and you are open to doing things a bit differently, then you are a DoorGrow hacker. DoorGrow hackers love the opportunities, daily variety, unique challenges, and freedom that property management brings. Many in real estate think you're crazy for doing it. You think they're crazy for not, because you realize that property management is the ultimate high trust gateway to real estate deals, relationships, and residual income. At DoorGrow, we are on a mission to transform property management businesses and their owners. We want to transform the industry, eliminate the BS, build awareness, change perception, expand the market, and help the best property management entrepreneurs win. I'm your host, property management growth hacker, Jason Hull, the founder of Open Potion, Gather Kudos, Thunder Local, and of course, DoorGrow, the property management consulting experts. Now let's get into the show. So today I have a special guest, a guest that has grown his business phenomenally in a relatively short period of time, Scott Brady. So Scott Brady, welcome to the DoorGrow show.
And welcome and amen to your opening. Everything you said resonates with me.
It resonates with the right people for sure, right? So, and those are the people that we want to serve and help. And so I'm excited to have you here. I touched base with you just briefly when we saw you at Cal Narpum. My father just started a property management business a couple of years ago. I think he's about 200 doors or something. And he caught the entrepreneurial bug after being a hospital administrator for like 30 plus years or whatever. He just decided to now start a business, right? He saw my brother's success and thought I could probably do that. So that's been interesting to watch. Well, he sat in on your session. He said, you should go talk to this guy. He's pretty interesting. He's got some cool stuff. And I was like, what stuff? He's like, I don't know, go talk to him. So then I came over and here we are. So Scott, tell us a little bit about you and how your background and how you got into property management. Why don't we start there?
You got it. Got my broker's license in 1997, 98. Want to be the biggest realtor in my city. I accomplished that by about 2002 or 3, selling 60 or 70 homes a year. I'm in Southern California. And then I decided I want to be the biggest broker in the land. So I became a franchise and probably got up to 60 or 70 realtors. And then a little thing called the Great Recession hit about 2007. And by 2009, more or less decimated. So I rebuilt, survived that recession, kept all my properties and my investments. But by about 2010 or 11, I decided if another recession occurred and I wasn't prepared for it, then shame on me. That now was my second recession. So right about 2011, end of 2011, 2012, after being told no by everybody, don't do this. The property management's the toilets, tenants, and troubles. Just go sell more homes. I said, I'm going to do it regardless. And so in 2012, I started Progressive Property Management, and I got out of my relationship with my franchise at the time, and I became an independent real estate company as well.
Okay, great. So you started your property management company in 2012.
Correct.
And jumping into that, were you familiar with managing rentals then already? Was this a new thing you were jumping into?
I had managed my own, some of my own properties, but I was completely ignorant. I didn't know anything about NARPM. I didn't know anything about consultants. I just said, you know what? If I've been a top realtor, I can figure this out. How hard is property management, right? And
right. Famous last words.
Yeah. So fast forward 2 years later, and probably $200,000, and sitting at 50 doors, I said, well, gee, this isn't working out as well as I thought it should. And that's when I was finally realized, I was told that 75% of all properties are self-managed, and that just didn't add up to me. Didn't make sense. So that was when I finally started using my education, and I started sending out surveys to hundreds of investment property owners. And I simply said, if you're self-managing, why? And what would it take for you to stop doing this? And they responded. And that was my first pivot, was 2014, rebuilt my website, rebuilt my marketing, rebuilt everything about the company to really target self-managing investment property owners.
Okay. And so, so how did you get your first those that you said you were at like 200 doors after 3 to 5 years,
No,
or
after 2 years, I was maybe at 50 or 60 doors, and
okay.
I had built my real estate business on direct mail, so I was using direct mail, targeting out of state owners. So in Southern California, you're talking 1.5 million rental properties, right? In Orange County, 300,000, of which half are out area. So I was at least doing that, and I was doing okay. And at that time, we were still on the back end of the recession, so you had a lot of owners who had to evict a tenant. They just didn't want to do it, and so I was able to grow slowly that way. But
Hmm.
once I pivoted toward the new marketing message with direct mail, then I really started adding a lot of doors. Probably in my third year, added 50 doors. By my fourth year, had added another 100 doors, and I was really now starting to grow quite quickly.
So, um, so this is a common sort of like stage. I think there's a name for the people that are just starting out, and I call them kind of seekers. And they get to about 50, 60 doors, and they'll sit there in pain. Usually, for maybe I see typically the worst I see is maybe about 3 to 5 years. Like they'll get stuck, and then they either move through that or something weird happens. And so some people stay stuck there, and they're not too many, but some people stay stuck there. And the ones that stay stuck there, um, they have this mindset that they need to do everything on their own. So
Correct.
they try to like read books and watch YouTube videos, and they believe they're like the smartest tool in the shed and that they can
Correct.
handle it all. And they're like, why would I pay someone else to do this when I can figure it out myself? And so there's a mindset disruption that they think they can do everything. And then they become the biggest bottleneck in their business. And they're the reason they can't grow beyond 50 or 60 units. They can't afford to hire anybody.
Yeah, my definition of hell is 100 doors, right? You're one staff member away from doing everything yourself. You don't have the resources to do effective marketing, grow the business. So you have to believe in your marketing message that it resonates, and be willing to spend the money to grow the business to 200 doors. Because at least at 200 doors, now you've got a few staff members. It can be profitable.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the biggest. I think if you give, I interviewed property management companies at the time before I started, and I'm 55 now. So I always see 50 when I started the business, and the average person would say, "Well, I've been doing this 20 years. I'm at 200 doors." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'll be dead by then." I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't got, no offense, I haven't got that kind of time on my hands. I've not lived a good life up to now. So I just didn't have the patience, if you will, and I kind of saw the opportunity. So that's when I started really spending marketing dollars effectively, and I built the company on the 4 pillars, which is transparency, value propositions, stellar customer service, and probably the most important one for me was aggressive pricing. I priced at 200 doors as if I was at 1,000. And I knew that it would be thinner margins, but I knew that was a better tack for me to take.
Yeah.
Then the floodgates opened at that point, and that's what caused really pivot number 2, which was 2 years later. I started getting leads. Southern California, as you know, as a bird flies, it may be 30 miles, but in a car that could be 2 hours. And I was getting leads that were an hour away, hour and a half away, and I didn't want to say no to anybody. And I started realizing I was going to have to say no. I was having staff driving 3 or 4 hours to go to one appointment. And at the time, I still had residual agents here. I still had about 10 to 20 agents who still kind of followed me from the franchise to the new company. And I said, well, if I can do it, and if they can do it, I think some of these realtors can do it too. And so I had 2 agents that were kind of out of area. And that was the first experiment on virtual offices, setting up virtual branches. And at this point, I'm in North Orange County. We set one up in South Orange County and set one up in North Riverside. And that was 4 years ago.
Yeah. I run a virtual company too. I'm sitting here right inside my house, and I've
Yeah.
got team members all over the place. And the advantage that I have is I can hire rock stars. I can hire, and is a competitive advantage, I feel like, in hiring, because people do enjoy working from home and having that freedom, or being able to work from anywhere. It's really freeing.
And the thing about real estate is it used to be a very structured business. If you sold 5 or 10 homes a year, Monday you had office day, Tuesday was caravan day, Wednesday was preview day, Thursday. I'm telling you, in real estate now, first of all, that half the realtors in California won't close a deal this year. The number of realtors that close 5 deals or fewer is something like 90% of the realtors out there. Mind you, there are 200,000 of them. So I knew there was an opportunity for these people they had the time, they had the ability, they just didn't know how, they didn't know how to get from point A to point B, and they also didn't know how to get the doors. And that was the big challenge. Is I could make you a branch manager, but how are you going to get the doors? And so that's when we got very aggressive on marketing, using both SEO, Google Ads, direct mail, seminars, and if I could produce a door, they were happy to buy it. And so we just had an agent 3 months ago in South Riverside, and now she's at 10 doors already. And she bought those doors. We generated the doors into contracts, and she's happy to take those doors over and pays us for them. And once I realized that could work, then why not have 17 branches? And that's where we are now. We have branches from now the high desert, which is Victorville, down to North San Diego. And we pretty much cover over 1.5 million rentals in Southern California.
So how many rental properties does Progressive, how many doors does Progressive cover in the single family residential sort of space?
Pretty much of the 800, I would say between townhomes and single family, because that's what we're targeting in our marketing, is probably of the 800, 750, nice. Maybe a little bit less. We have a few multi-unit buildings, a few commercial that we just kind of stumbled into, didn't really target. Right. We've got 200 kind of in the pike. We picked up 20 today from a new branch manager. We picked up, I'm looking at 100 to buy. We've got another 50. So we've got about 200 in the pike. And then the goal would be 1,000 by year end. And then next year I think the goal is to add 500 doors. If I had to we're at a 30% growth rate, 35% annual growth rate.
Nice. So Scott, it seems to me that one of the areas that you are genius at, which is I think typical of a lot of entrepreneurial people, is your willingness to pivot quickly when you're seeing things not working. And I'm sure there's times where you're like, man, I wish I pivoted a little bit faster than I did. But there's always change. There's always change in business, and property management, real estate. It's always fluctuating. Things are changing. The market's good. People are selling off. It's always in flux. What do you feel like helped you weather through all of this, where other realtors and other property managers really tend to get stuck and struggle?
Well, we laser focused on the problem. So people who are self-managing didn't know they had a problem, and we really have now embraced video. Last weekend we did our first company, video, and what we talk about is how we give our clients back the most important asset of all, and that's their time. They've got better things to do with their time than worry about the 3 T's. And once we really lasered on the problem that the buy owner market had, and we could offer a solution, it seemed to really take care of itself at that point. I always say my job here is to add doors, because that solves a lot of problems, add good agents who get our system and get our business model, and then also add investors, because as we walk into the next recession, as we walk into kind of a California renter state, there's going to be all kinds of opportunities to make money there as well. So I think part of it is I'm glad I didn't discover NARPM until I already kind of built my business model. Because you're just going to go after the bright, shiny light. You're going to chase whoever is, oh, yeah, I heard this guy's doing this, I'll do that. I was able to walk into NARPM with my business model and then pick and choose from there at these conferences what will work for me, and then add more profitability. For example, we just got into insurance. That was because of Cal NARPM. We just added a fee that I learned through, and it's helped my business model, but I'm not changing my business model because somebody in San Antonio does it a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's so I think that's a real interesting point to bring up, because even DoorGrow, we really hadn't really attended any NARPM event until I saw you at the Cal NARPM. That was our first legit event. And I spoke once at the Long Beach NARPM chapter, just barely before that. Right. And I believe that property managers should be educated. I believe that NARPM is a great resource to get educated. The challenge though, is you see a lot of groupthink inside of, groups, and the new is coming in. And there is a lot of good resources and a lot of great ideas, but it's hard to know when you're that young and fresh whether or not you should implement or fall prey to every marketing vendor or do everything that everybody else is doing. And you just looked at the problem and solved it. And that I want everyone listening to realize that businesses only exist to solve a problem. I mean, that's why we have a business. Our job in a business is to solve a problem, and we get paid to fix and solve problems. That's why businesses are in existence. And when we get disconnected from that, and it's easy to do because we start focusing on, I got to make processes and to-do lists and implement software and automation, and I got all this marketing stuff to do. If we get distracted from our client and we're no longer client centric, we get distracted from why our business fundamentally exists, and it's to solve their problem. And so I love that you like actually did research, reaching out to your target audience. So how important do you think it is to do, and we do this in our own business, how important do you think it is to do product research and talk to your clients and customers?
Well, yeah, we all can have different target markets. Could be investors, multi-unit, out of state, self-managing. And so, yeah, if you don't know your client, you don't know what they want, and it could be different in Washington than it is in California. I have two clients, right? I have people who we want to manage their property, and I've got realtors who are struggling in the real estate business, and they want to thrive in any real estate market. And so I have those two clients, and that's my job every day, is to find the realtors that make a good fit for this business model and find the buy owner who's finally decided they're just not adept at managing their own property. And that takes, your marketing has to be laser focused on the issue at hand. California, we have a beautiful opportunity here because of so much rent control and local laws and ordinances that are making it very, very difficult to manage your own property, even if it's even next door. So I'm trying to position us now. I spent the last 6 months kind of rebuilding the foundation, new website, a lot more video, redid the direct mail piece, just to really focus on that issue at hand. Are you prepared to manage your property in a California renter state? I doubt you are, by the way. And so by putting ourselves out there first and having that message, and then for the person who, we all know that if you can build a nice database. So we send out, this is going to, a lot of people get freak out. I'll send out 15,000 direct mail pieces a month. Our goal is now that, our goal is to say, not just are you looking for property management, but are you looking for a resource as a buy owner? So for example, we started an inspection company that we're going to let the buy owners use. Because if somebody's in Nebraska and they got a property in Costa Mesa, they're going to fly out to do a move out or a move in. Let them use our maintenance company. We will do rent ups for them. So we're trying to position ourselves, just not, are you looking for property management, but are you looking for a resource to manage your own property? Be the be all and end all for anybody who's an investment property owner in Southern California. Get them on our database. So if I mail out 15,000 and 2,000 go to our website and 40 hire us to manage their doors, well, that's 1,860 people I can put in a database. And eventually they're going to have a pain point. Eventually they're going to have a tenant who doesn't behave. Eventually they're going to have an issue that arises. Eventually they're going to move out of state, or no offense, we all got to die too. And we want to be there for them before they have the need. And the beautiful thing about this business, and I've heard you say this, and I say it as well, is there's a 1.5 million rentals on my market area, over 1 million being managed by owner. I'm not taking business away from anybody else, any other property management company in Southern California. I'm going after the blue ocean. I'm going after people that aren't using any property management company. So I compete with no one in my marketplace. I'm competing with people who think they can do it better than me. And you and I know they can't. And that means I have to have stellar customer service. And I try to build a frictionless website now. So if somebody wants to go to my website, find out about my company, choose to use us, fill out a contract online, and we just get an email saying, okay, I've hired you. That's the ultimate goal, is a frictionless website. And more, and I encourage other property management companies, is you've got to embrace mutual affection marketing. You've got to have your clients like you before they trust you, before they'll hire you. And the best way to do that, because we're not realtors that go to the local chamber of commerce, or the BNI meeting, or go out for drinks with our friends, we have to do it virtually. And the best way to do that is video. There's just no doubt about it. And by using video, so they like you, and then they go through your website and they trust you, and then they hire you. And then you just got to do a great job of taking care of them and do what you said you're going to do, how you said you're going to do it. And with my business model, my branch, we manage about 350 properties in my main branch. But I submit to you that Young Hutchinson, who's my branch manager in South Orange County, managing 70 doors, provides a higher level of service than we do in my branch. Because I've got 3 property managers who, yeah, they like their job, but do they love the owner? Well, our branch managers love their owners because they see a listing one day out of every single one of those doors.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think you've got to use all the tools in the toolbox. And here's the good news: we got lots of tools, and one of your jobs is to help people use the right tool and discover those tools.
Yeah, those agents have an incentive to build and
Correct.
maintain and keep that relationship naturally.
Correct.
And so that makes sense. And yes, I'm a big proponent of going after the blue ocean because I believe as an industry, that's how we can grow this industry and we can expand it. You also touched on legislation. And I believe legislation is a constraint that has driven innovation. Like it drives the need for property management. And so I
Correct.
think a lot of property managers whine and they complain and they gripe about legislation, but legislation, every piece of legislation you've turned into an advantage for you, right? And it turns you into being more relevant to the landlord instead of them doing it themselves.
Yeah, we have owners calling me all day long. And in California, we have a proposition coming up in November, Proposition 10, which is the repeal of Costa-Hawkins, which means that any local jurisdiction that enacted rent control could have rent control on any type of property, not just multi-unit older buildings. I am personally opposed to rent control. It's a violation of private property rights, but it could be a boon for property management because it makes it that much more difficult to manage your own property. So you want to be ahead of that in California or whatever's in your state, whatever's going on. In California happens to be rent control and Costa-Hawkins, and position yourself as the expert. People gravitate to the expert in their industry. You know, whether that's Tom Ferry or that's Jason Hull or that's Scott Brady in property management in Southern California. And that's how you want to position yourself out there because this is a complicated business. Real estate is a complicated job. I mean, your job's to go get more listings. Your job's to close deals. This is a complicated business. There are a lot of moving parts to property management. And unfortunately, most property management companies are managing 20 or 50 or 100 doors. They're only good at a few of those aspects of that business. When you get to 500 or 1,000 doors, you've got the staff and the wherewithal and the revenue to take care of all the moving parts. And so my job is to make sure that's happening. But I just think that we can be the clarion call for these people who are managing by owner, and collectively be the expert in this industry.
Yeah. So I think what the iceberg report suggested that there was maybe about 30% of single family residential roughly that are actually managed professionally.
That's correct.
And
yeah.
so there's huge opportunity. If you look at Australia, the numbers I've heard tossed around for single family are about 80% are professionally managed. And so I don't know if we'll ever get quite to that point, but I think it certainly shows that we have a lot of room to progress and move here in the United States. And I think there's a huge opportunity right now. I think property management really has only gotten started and there's a massive amount of potential. So let's touch into some of the things that specifically some of the channels that you tackle. And you mentioned,
Sure.
You threw out a couple of them, like working on your website and pay-per-click. And for property managers that are like stuck in that cycle of suck that I call, as I call it, or they're in hell, or they're, that solopreneur at 50, 60 units, what tactical sort of things would you encourage them to do so that they're not out damaging the reputation of property management, which actually makes it harder for you to grow your own business perception wise?
Yeah.
If your competitors are doing terrible.
Yeah. I mean, there's low cost, high return, high cost, low return, and whatever works for you, I say spend money on it. So for me, low cost, high return are seminars. We do local landlord seminars at our different branches where we invite local investment property owners for a 3-hour presentation at no cost to them, throw in a free lunch. And it's an opportunity to really disabuse them of the notion this is an easy business. Because if you own investment property, you're a property manager. Whether you hire a property manager or not, you're in the same industry I'm in. You need to know the same laws and the same rights of tenants. And so we bring them in, give them a quiz, which they always fail. about basic laws that they need to be aware of. Bring an insurance guy, mortgage guy, and then talk about rent control, what's going on, the local laws, what's affecting them. And we find, well, if we send out 2,000 pieces, we'll put 40 people in a room, and our vendors offset pretty much all the cost. And we'll pick up, we're going to have 40 people in the database, but I'll guarantee you in the next 10 years when they need a property management company, they're calling us, because we're the ones that were the property manager before they needed it. And we still get about 4 to 6 doors out of that. But it is a low-cost way to not just add doors, but become the expert in your community. Direct mail, direct mail costs me roughly, let's call it 50 cents a piece. And if your message in that direct mail piece if it's compelling, and if it drives them to a website that's frictionless and that makes them like your company, we find direct mail very effective. We do an 8-piece direct mail, high-end, professional-looking piece, but I print obviously a lot of them. Google Ads, we happen to use the Geek Boys. I don't have to, but I do. You send out ads in your market area saying, we guarantee to find a tenant 21 days and waive our management fee, and you're going to get leads. And then what we find when we got leads from Google Ads, it forces you to be a follow-up machine. It forces you to respond quickly, forces you to have a very a compelling message for that person. And we use of course the Google Ads. And then SEO is a long-term, slow growth. It's a long march, but we try to optimize every single one of our branches. So we're not a franchise, but it looks a lot like a franchise. Each of these branches kind of operates independently. They're on a split with us, of course, and they're happy as can be because they do none of the back office. They only deal with the fun stuff: tenants, owners, and lease ups, and we deal with all the back office, all the compliance, all the insurance, all the Department of Real Estate stuff. And the stuff they're just not going to be good at. And then we do the sales and marketing as well.
So if you had to start over from scratch, just, hypothetical, somebody had wiped out your business, wiped out your bank account, wiped out your team, and you're starting from scratch and you're like, I'm going to get this property management business going. What would you do to get your first 100 doors here in 2018, do you think?
I definitely would have not listened to Yelp. I remember Yelp calling me and saying, we're going to give you 20,000 impressions a month for the low cost of $4,000. I went, oh my God, that's easy money. I signed a 1-year contract. There was $50,000, might as well flush down the toilet. So
but you got those impressions, right?
I got the impressions. We were famous. So, I would definitely have tested different marketing channels and then find out which one gives me the best return. So I would definitely have done seminars day one, because they don't care. The beautiful thing about property management, people want to work with the biggest realtor. I want to deal with a guy that sells 100 homes a year. Or I want to deal with the biggest real estate company because there's credibility there. Nobody wants to work with the biggest property management company. That's not a driver for investment property owners. Matter of fact, they want to deal with one that has a few doors, but just has great reviews, great customer service, fair pricing. Like I would say, the 4 pillars: transparency and value propositions. And so that's a big advantage for this industry. Is that if you position yourself as a local leader, as the expert, that's a big thing. So I definitely have a website, embraces video. I only started doing that recently. I made every mistake in the book. I mean, I honestly, every mistake in the book. If you go to NARPM, I think there's pearls of wisdom there, and you can find them and pick them out. I would seek out experts. You don't know it all. I didn't know it all. And there's no book, by the way. Hopefully that changes next year. But there's no book on how to build a profitable property management business from A to Z. How to incorporate. First things first, operations, marketing, sales, all the rest. And so, unfortunately, it's like handed down like Beowulf. It's this oral tradition. It's changing. I think people like you are changing it, and there's some other places out there that are really not afraid to share. And I'm happy to share because, once again, I'm not competing with anybody out there. If we all collectively go out to people who are managing by owner. Nobody tries to sell their home by owner. They think it would be madness to try to do so because we made it so complicated, and and so many people have told people that you can't do it. It's impossible to do. You're gonna screw it up. If we did the same thing in property management, we made it so complicated to manage your own property. We do that legislatively. And then we also convince people it's madness to manage your own property, and that's done through marketing. I believe we all benefit from that. And you're right, 70% drops to 50%. Well, 20% in Orange County, that's 3 million people, 300,000 rentals. That's 60,000 doors, additional doors to be
Yeah,
managed.
there's a
There
bit
aren't
of
enough.
room there for growth.
Yeah, there aren't enough property management companies in Orange County to absorb 60,000 doors. And I
Right.
truly believe that is the future. That's why I built this model. And you asked about distribution channels. We also now do wholesale. And I want to find those property management companies that want to grow, but don't know how to get from A to B, right? They're kind of stuck at 50 doors or 75 doors. Look at, I'll do the back end for you. You can even keep the name of your company for all I care. And we'll help you get there. And I think there's an opportunity for people to do wholesale as well in certain marketplaces, certainly my marketplace, because there are realtors in our marketplace who don't tell their broker they're managing 50 doors. Or the broker is managing 50 doors and it's not profitable to them. So we can relieve them of that back office and that unprofitability, if you will. And there's so many different ways to skin the cat in this industry. That's what makes this, in my opinion, exciting, because when I was a real estate agent, I sold real estate. I made real estate income. That was it. Then I became a broker. I made some money off my agents, maybe had escrow. Property management, there's management income, there's insurance income, there's real estate income, there's maintenance income. My job, more and more, in my opinion, is to create multiple revenue streams and push the money where the best returns are in those streams.
Yeah, makes sense. So I love these ideas. One of the things you mentioned, and where I think there's a lot of opportunity to create create market share and to go into the blue ocean, is to help people see a problem they can't see. And you mentioned that a lot of these by owner people that are managing their own property, they can't see the potential threats. They can't see the problems that they're dealing with. And sometimes they're too close to the fire to really recognize the frustration that they already are experiencing with a tenant and the anxiety that they feel when they see it show up on their phone, and they just don't even realize there's another way that's better. And so, and we've seen this at DoorGrow, same thing. We see property managers that are running their business in a way that to me looks painful and uncomfortable, but they can't see the problem. Or they might have a brand new website and they can't see that. To me, having studied conversion rate optimization and tested with hundreds and hundreds of clients that we did websites for, they can't see the leaks that we can see. And so one of our biggest lead magnets was simply to create a website quiz, and which, if anybody's tried it recently, it was having a text message problem until I fixed it this morning. So
I tried it like yesterday, try to get on. Yes.
Oh yeah. So I took care of it. But people that it's connected to Zapier, and it sends a text message, and they keep trying to block the text messaging. So we use Twilio. Anyway, so that's nerdy stuff. But if I show people the problem and they can see the problem, their behavior changes immediately. Their perception changes immediately, and they see the need. Whereas what most people are doing in my space, or that some would say that we compete with, is instead of helping people see the real problems that exist, they just wait till people come to them and say, can you do this for me? And sell them what they think they need. And so our challenge at DoorGrow is we're selling something that people don't recognize they need. And so we have to, it's our job to educate them or to help them see these various leaks in their business. The website's like one minor thing, but it's significant. It's in the pipeline. And if we take all the leaks throughout that pipeline, and our sort of consulting package that we take them through, like you were talking about, includes several methods for establishing yourself as an authority in your market and figuring out how to go after that blue water and how to create real relationships. I just read this really great book I recommend to everybody. For those not watching this and listening, it's called Blue Fishing, and it's by Steve Sims. And the reason I love this book is he's very contrarian to this idea of hyper automation and hyper technology and trying to just systemize sales and relationships. And he's very much about going deeper with clients and creating deeper connection, because it's much more powerful. And that's what you're doing when you go do these investor seminars. You're real, you're reachable, you're a person. They can create a relationship with you. They feel like they can trust you. They learn to like you. And that creates referrals. It creates warm leads. It creates advocates for your business to send you business. And I think there's definitely something to be said about let's get out there into the marketplace. There's market share waiting to be created, and nobody's going after it. we have all this opportunity to build the business as big as you can possibly handle. And I doubt you feel like you're in any form of scarcity, but most people in the industry feel like they're starving. The number one challenge on all my feedback quizzes and questionnaires that we send out, when we ask, what is the number one challenge in your business right now? They say getting leads and growing our business or adding doors. It's always that same thing. And you don't feel that. What's your perception on that?
My perception, if you build a better mousetrap, people will run into the mousetrap. And in hiring staff, for example, that used to be a problem. It's no problem anymore because we've become kind of the in and out of property management, in and out burger. So people start at the front desk, they move over to assistant property manager, branch manager. And I will tell you, the dream job at this company is a branch manager. I've got a guy, he manages 100 doors. So after our split, he walks with $66,000 a month, plus sells 5 or 6 homes a year, plus leases out 30 to 35 a year. Well, do the math. He's making not just 6 figures; he's making almost $150,000 to $200,000 a year, and he's independent. He makes his own hours, does his own thing. And he's our prototype. And if you build a better mousetrap for me, for realtors, or a better mousetrap for the buy owner, we on our marketing piece we drive them to a quiz, a self-managing investment property owner quiz, which is, and they fail it every time. They realize, I don't know what I don't know. Then we can send them to a California renter state website where it says, here's why we're becoming a renter state and what can you do about it. It's the old Marcus Sheridan, they ask, you answer. If you give them everything possible they should know about this industry, they're going to think, boy, there's got to be more than that. And I don't even know this stuff, so I might as well hire this company. And for what we do as an industry, for the money we make, for the risks we take, for the drama, I mean, without crazy, what they wouldn't need us. But thank God, there's just a lot of crazy out there. And that's job security. When the phone rings here, I tell my staff that's job security. When the phone rings, we're saving our owner the time to deal with that phone call from a tenant or a vendor. I don't know what real estate will look like in 10 years. I'm very pessimistic about the future of organized real estate. I do a lot of seminars, and I'll ask a crowd of 100 people, how many you think real estate will look the same way in 10 years that it does today? Not one hand goes up. So we as an industry know that industry's done. It's cooked. We all know in 20 years, it will definitely not look anything like this. But property management is a pretty safe bet for at least 10 to 20 years. Matter of fact, technology only makes us more efficient. You can manage more doors with fewer staff and do it more efficiently. And so, yeah, I mean, if you focus your company on solving the problem of your target audience, which happens to me being the self-managed, investment property owner, and get up every day to think, how can I solve their problem? Make them aware of the problem, because if you're waiting for them to hit a pain point, that may not happen for 20 years, and finally dad dies and the kids inherit the home and they hire a property manager. Well, you've got to move that time frame up to today, not when they finally get a pain point, till the next recession hits. But if the next recession hits, God bless, we'll all do better. And if rent control passes, we'll all do better. But rather than waiting for that, put that to the forefront of your clients, your target clients' mind, and then you become top of mind. And when they hire a property management company, of course they're gonna call you. Yeah, growth isn't our problem. Our problem is mostly covering our market area geographically. My challenge is finding the right agents who get our message. My challenge is make sure we train them properly. They're not doing anything stupid out there. I have other challenges, but there's no reason why we can't be California's first property management company from northern NoCal to SoCal. There's no reason why we don't have 100 branches managing 50,000 doors. It's just a matter of scale at this point, and having the right marketing message.
So I think you dropped an interesting knowledge bomb that you breezed through really quickly, but it sounds really interesting. So you mentioned the in and out model of that it sounds like testing out, and that you're taking people through a process to groom them from a front desk sort of role all the way up to a higher level role. Could you just walk through that briefly again real quick so people catch that?
So I've never hired a property manager. The term I use, which my wife hates, is that I kind of hire the dinged and dented. And we slap a little.
Let me explain this, because most property managers or property management entrepreneurs are whining constantly about their property manager, that they just left them, or they can't onboard right, or they can't find one, or you've never hired a property manager. So
never have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, so we hire what we sell people on is opportunity, and we show them a path that they may start at the front desk, but in 2 or 3 years they could be managing 60 doors and having a lifestyle with multiple income streams. And so I just today had somebody else write me a resume who wants to join me. I have no idea who they are, and so we In and Out. If you don't know what In and Out is in California, it's a burger chain,
You
and in
should
In and
know.
Out.
It's really
You
good.
should know, but you start at the fry machine. You start at the potato machine, cutting the potatoes, move to the fry machine, move to the hamburger machine, move to the front desk. And the bottom line is you can start from $15 an hour, and a regional manager In and Out makes 200,000 or a lot of money, right? And in property management, if you don't show them a place to move up somehow, this is
Mhm.
a tough job. We deal with a lot of drama on a daily basis, and so we can hire people, train them the way we want them to train them, teach them about customer service, and we help them get their license. We move them to assistant property. They kind of use my office. My office is the hub where they learn property management. I had a gal start at the front desk, became assistant property manager, became my BDM. She's now at 20 or 30 doors, and I already know in a year from now I'll get another BDM. And that's, by the way, that happens to be the gal who's my assistant operations manager who wants to get into the same thing. So,
Well, it
yeah,
sounds like you have a couple of paths that they
we do.
could go down.
Yeah, operations or property man. They all gravitate toward branch manager and property management for the most part, but there is also the maintenance company. There's operations. There's leasing specialists. There's some other stuff, but yeah, I feel like it's when I remember when I was at 100 doors or 200 doors, and I kind of traditional model. I was always afraid if I lost one staff person, I was hosed. I mean, that was it. I was in fear of somebody walking out the front door, and I just don't have that fear anymore. I haven't. One of my pet peeves about real estate is that we're independent contractors, and if somebody opened a real estate company across the street and they had a better latte machine, I could be hosed. Everybody could get up and walk across the street, and I lost my entire real estate company. And in property management, I've not lost one realtor in. I've been doing this model 4 years because I get the doors back if they leave. That's in the contract. I'm not afraid of them starting a property management company because what are they going to do? They're going to do all the stuff we do in the back end. So, and if they did, then I'm not doing my job. So we have a model now that not only do we bring staff through and they kind of the In and Out, but now we have realtors that are never going to go anywhere. And why would they?
Right, because they're constantly fed real estate deals.
Correct.
Because they're doing property management.
It's correct. Yes. It's like the old model when I got in real estate, you had a horrible split with a big company, but they fed you listings or fed you buyers, and you're okay getting that terrible split because you got revenue. 50% of something's better than 100% of nothing. And basically we're just doing that model again. They get 65% of something rather than 100% of nothing. And it works. It's not every realtor is built for this. We specifically target now through our marketing agents that do 3 to 5 deals a year that have been in the business at least 10 years, who've seen a recession. But now we're really now our problem is picking the right ones. We're getting much more up. We see more realtors interested in joining the system.
Interesting. Yeah. So, and I also wanted to mention, I love the idea of doing the quiz. It's very similar to some of the stuff that we've done. I love this idea. We created a lead magnet. Before DoorGrow existed, when we were Open Potion, we created a lead magnet for a property management client in Florida. And that was really sticky. And it was like 9 reasons you might not need a property manager. And what was interesting is the entire PDF had like 9 reasons that, but the reasons were like, you have tons of time available and you love having another part-time job. There were these kind of things.
We have the same 7 video. Ours is 7 reasons why you should manage by owner. And of course you got nothing but time, or you don't have enough money. You can't afford $100 a month for a property management company. You know the laws of California inside and out. You like going to court. And after they get done with the 7, they're like, can we call you? And
you're an expert in landlord-tenant law.
The same old stuff. And we did create a website that we drive people to this by owner website where they can get all the tools and stuff they need to manage by owner if that's what they choose to do. So my biggest mistake I made the last few years was I was sending out, my marketing was, if you're looking for property management, we're the right company. And I think we all do that for the most part.
And no one's looking for it. I mean,
That's
even
correct.
Search volume on Google, really hasn't increased much since 2004, if at all. If you, in fact, in more recent years, it's gone down. So if you look at Google Trends, you can see this in the US.
Yeah. So if you
So I
pivot
love
your
this.
marketing, to, do you need help managing your own property? Do you need help? Do you need help managing your own? I want to give you the tools to manage your own property better. Well, that's everybody. That's 70. Obviously, it's 70% of the market. So by kind of changing my marketing message, both on our website now, it says, it says owners, but it says there's a whole section for buy owners. Or here, if you're a buy owner, here are some tools you can use. So it's just not trying to ram all the people looking for, because what percentage of people right now are looking for property management? 1%, 2% of the investment property owners? Because and on that same study I did, which I sent out, I said, if you're currently using a property management company, which was 30%, I said, are you happy? 90% were happy. So we do a great job as an industry once we get somebody's property of managing it well. So you can't go after those people. They're happy. It's sticky once you find a good property management company. You got to do something pretty drastic to lose a client unless they're a complete nut job. And so and so my marketing and my website and our marketing says we want to talk to all of you. And then once they come to the website, hopefully they see that, wow, this is really tough to manage my property. Oh my God, rent control is coming to California. Oh, it's not that, it doesn't cost that much to hire a professional property manager. Oh, look at the great reviews. So, and by doing that, and like I said, on our website, we've got a map now of all the properties we manage. The question we used to get when I was taking the sales calls, which was only to about a year ago, was, do you manage properties in fill in the blank? Fullerton. Well, how do you prove that over the phone? Yeah. Well, okay. Instead, just go to the website. Look at the map. You can see all the properties we manage in the city of Fullerton. You can compare us to 7 other companies in your market area. You can see a copy of our contract. And by the way, in our contract, I have little videos explaining the contract. So I can talk about hold harmless right in the contract right there. If we as an industry make it so easy to do business with us, we charge a fair fee. It goes without saying, I'm excited about property management. I've been doing it 6 years. So if you had told me 20 years ago this is what I'd be doing, I think you're out of your gourd. But here's what I find, and that part about that in and out. Nobody wants to come work for property management because they hear all the horror stories, all the crazy stories. And I tell people when they interview here is, lose your passion. Your passion should be the thing you don't get paid to do. That's the thing you do on the side. Instead, be really, really good at this job. Because if you're really good at this job, if you're a great property manager, the world beats a path to your door. And once the world kind of beats a path to your door, you get control over your life. You start really loving what you do because people tell you you're great at what you do. And once you kind of flip that on its head, I find people that come here to work love what they do. I mean, and they know, particularly millennials, people 23 to 27, they're really concerned about where our industry going. Where's retail going? Where's all these different industries? And I can tell them, you're safe here. You've got a career here. And as long as I'm growing the business, they trust me. They see the phone ringing. They see us adding doors. But if you're not growing, they grow concerned, I suspect.
Yep. The old adage, sales solves all problems.
Yeah, new doors solves all problems. And people argue with that. Well, good doors solves all problems, but we lose doors, just like anybody else. Our attrition rate runs, 5 to 10% a year. And if you don't grow by 5 to 10%, you're shrinking by a certain percentage. And if you add more doors above that, you can get rid of the owners that really don't respect what we do and how we do it. And we all have the stories about those people. And so that's the problem with the buy owner market is they have high expectations but want to spend a little bit of money. And so by growing, you could also weed those people out. The pumpkin patch theory.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. We've got Mike McCallett speaking at our conference, which is going to be awesome getting into that. So, so Scott, we've covered a lot of different things. I think you gave a lot of value to the listeners. Is there anything else that you'd want to point out to maybe property managers that are struggling, trying to grow their business?
I every day my little feet hit the ground and I try to build a better machine. And I've in just the last 6 months, I've learned more than I did 6 years before that. And if you're constantly trying to improve your marketing, your sales, your processes, your operations, And that's the beautiful thing about this business. It's evolving. And if you do that and don't sit on your laurels and test and pivot that's what you need to do. And I guess property management companies struggle. They get in the biggest thing I did last year that was hard, by the way, very hard. If you can't tell, I'm a sales and marketing guy. I love the lead conversion. I love when the phone rang and they got my marketing message and they fell in love with me and my company and they wanted us to manage the property in Anaheim Hills. And I realized I was still in the business. And so about 9 months ago, whatever it was, I decided to get out of the business. And I hired a business development manager and I hired another person so I could then work on the business and have a higher view looking down, if you will. And I understand that I don't want to sound egalitarian and then I'm above this. I was there for 5 years. I was in the business and I had to be. I didn't have the luxury. When you're managing 200 doors, I hired a business development manager. Brad Larson might disagree, but you've got to work on the business and really take a hard look at your marketing, your website, what you're saying, who you're saying it to. Does it resonate? What's your conversion rate? That's what I would and embrace video. Embrace video. Get it in your website. Use it. It's an incredible tool to tell your story. I think I mentioned earlier, we just finished a video and it wasn't cheap, but it's a statement video about our company. And the title of the video, which will be on the website in about a week, is Our $1 Million Mistake. And it's my wife and I saying that we sold a rental property 30 years ago. I wasn't in real estate yet. We got married and bought a house and kept mine as a rental. And we got the tenant from hell. I mean, the worst thing you can imagine. And after a year of that drama, my wife turned to me and said, we're selling this house. I can't do this. Not with a 2-year-old, whatever was going on. And we did. And that house is worth $800,000 now. And the monthly revenue would be $3,000 plus. I made that mistake. And the video is saying, what we said is that I don't want my clients to make the same mistake. You try to say this to property management companies. You have a different audience than I do, saying, don't make Scott's mistake, what he did the first 2 years. And you don't have to learn by the school of hard knocks. There are people out there who've figured this out. And here's the beautiful thing. They're willing to share with you. You may have to pay them. Sorry, not everything's free in life. But pay the right people the right amount of money and save yourself the 2 years of sorrow and wasted cash. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I love it. I spent years and years being the know-it-all, trying to make things work and struggling. And when I started realizing it wasn't working, I mean, at some point you have to be honest with yourself. You're looking in the mirror, your wife's saying, where's the money? Your team, you're struggling to pay your team. You have to be honest and say, I need to know something else. I need support. And I started reaching out to coaches and I started getting coaching and going through programs. And I mean, I've spent probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in working with coaches. I spend probably on average, maybe 50, 60K a year minimum just on coaching. And a lot of people think, man, that's like a full-time employee or two, right? But for me, I've never been able to experience growth as fast as being able to work with somebody. So if I wanted to really learn how to do what Steve Sims does, I would probably just reach out to Steve Sims and I'd say, what would it take to do something with you? Or I would reach out to Mike McCallowitz. What would it take to learn and do something with you? And so, and that allows me to invest back into my clients. It gives us, when we are willing to be the idiot and willing to ask questions, and we're willing to look dumb, and we're willing to learn and grow, and we're willing to pivot, and we're willing to make mistakes, that allows us to invest in ourselves, to collapse time significantly and buy our freedom. I feel like every dollar I put towards something that is helping me move my business forward is buying me more and more freedom, whether it's my team members that I'm offloading things to that I used to do, my executive team. Like you in my business, I used to do every single thing. I was the one guy. And I used to think that I could find one person to replace me. Like that was it, right? And now I have like an army, right? And they each do little different things. And I think one of the biggest challenges we have as entrepreneurs is we're highly adaptable. You're obviously highly adaptable. You probably could do every station in your in and out, right? You probably could. And I'm sure several of your team members probably could too. But there's only one that really makes the most sense for you right now. And that's your area of genius. It's where your best and highest good is in the business, where you can help drive all the other outcomes, where you can motivate and inspire your team. And I would love to see every property management entrepreneur get out of being the solopreneur, the struggling person, the person banging their head against the wall, asking, why can't my team just do what I say? To being the person that's like, I have the team that I dream and love. We're growing, we're healthy, we feel momentum, we have a client-centric vision and mission to benefit our customers, and we're solving real problems, and we're making a difference in the community.
Yeah, as Goethe said, a little German for you, that there's boldness in action. And I went to a seminar and I listened to Marcus Sheridan about embracing video. And as far as I know, nobody's, and there were 60 people in the room, 100 people in the room. As far as I know, nobody took that action. And sometimes you take action, it doesn't work. You adapt, you take different action, and yeah, don't get in a rut, and try again. If you don't try it, you'll never know if it'll work or not. And it's and embrace the there, because if you take action now, I think you're going to reap the rewards that's coming, and particularly in our market, down the pike in the next few years.
I like to say embrace the suck, because the thing to realize, our kids are great at this, right? Our kids just do this generally. We all start at suck. That's the level everyone starts out. So yeah, you haven't done videos. Well, I feel uncomfortable. Yes, because you haven't done it, or I'm not good at it, or I'm awkward, or I say and you know, these things too many times. Yes, you do. You should see my first videos. They were absolutely awful. Like they were, I remember my first video I made where I was trying to sell something and I had to edit out like probably 30 ums. It was, and so, you know, it was ridiculous. And I was like cringing, but you make those videos and you watch them and you listen to yourself, you're going to fix those problems really fast. And it doesn't take a lot of time. You just do it. You just take action and do it.
So and the lowest bar, in my opinion, is a seminar. You get in front of 40 people and tell them about the business and become the expert in front of 40 people. I remember the first time I had to go to Cal NARPM and I had to speak in front of 100 property managers. I was scared out of my mind. I sweated profusely, but you know, it forced me to know my stuff. And I knew I was speaking in front of people who managed many more doors than I did at the time. And I had to put my stake in the ground. And the same thing's true. I mean, you start small if you have to, or start big if you can, but start. Just try something new and different.
There's genius in action. All right, Scott, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Cool. How can people get a hold of you? What else would you like people to know? What do you have available to listeners?
I don't have, I mean, so yeah, I have the local landlord seminar in a box, which is on the Property Mastermind website, which is run by Brad Larson. If they want to look at that, it's $4.95, and it's everything from the direct mail piece to a video of how I did it to the PowerPoint presentation. If people want to email me, happy to have the email. I love sharing. I had somebody call me today from Washington, and she was shocked I picked up the phone. I go, why would I pick up the phone? I love talking to people and getting new ideas. And my website's my name, Scott Brady 1963 at Gmail. Sound like a good idea when 20 years ago. Now it makes me look really, really old. But and then I'll be at the NARPM event in San Diego speaking on how to add a door a day at $191 a door, and yeah, reach out at the broker owner. I'll definitely be there as well. So yeah, I try to be affable and easy to reach, and really honest and forthcoming about what I do and how you do it. Doesn't work for everybody. But it will work for somebody out there.
Great. I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you contributing to the industry and sharing value. Scott is also inside the DoorGrow Club Facebook group. Mm-hmm. So if you're a property management entrepreneur and you're not in that group yet, make sure you get in there. We reject 2/3 of the people that apply because they're not true property management entrepreneurs or business owners. And so if you are one, go to doorgrowclub.com. It'll redirect right to the Facebook group and get in there, and you can hang out with Scott and myself and others that are contributing and making a difference. And then, yeah, check out Scott and connect with him if you'd like to learn more about what he's up to. And Scott, appreciate you coming on the show.
Jason, thank you. Thank you for the show, and thank you for everything you do to make this a better industry.
Appreciate it. All right. So those of you watching, really great to have Scott come on. Lots of great takeaways. I'm going to go back through and watch this again and listen to it and take notes. There's a lot of little things he threw out there. If you are a property management entrepreneur that is struggling to grow and you have been sitting at that point of not knowing why things aren't working, you feel like there's got to be an easier way. You feel like it shouldn't be this hard to grow the business. You know that there's tons of available rental properties out there that could be managed. Then reach out to my team. We want to help you. We are looking for the best property management entrepreneurs that we can help win. We are definitely not the cheapest guys in town or the budget guys, but we're not looking for the cheapos that think they can just do everything themselves and save a buck. We want to help you grow and help you grow quickly. We want to make a difference in this industry. So connect with DoorGrow, connect with my team, and I think you'll be really excited to hear what we can do for your business and how we can help you grow without having to do all the costly marketing in the red water that everybody is doing in the same way. That's a surefire way to stay in this cycle of struggle and pain and discomfort. So reach out to DoorGrow. You can check us out at doorgrow.com. I'm Jason Hull, and we are out. Bye, everybody.